The end is near. Wales's dream is over. They came, they found a way to win against France, but they couldn't find that extra touch against South Africa. We'll start in this dressing gown diary review of the semi-finals by picking the bones about Wales's loss first off. There were some surprises with the way Wales played. They got caught into an arm wrestle, but yet they stayed in it until the last 5 minutes against a brutal South Africa side. There were so many kicks from hand. I do wonder why we continued with these tactics, but when you hear the stats that as centres, Hadley Parkes and Jonathan Davies had a combined carry of 3 metres. Neither player were fully fit, so I wonder whether Wales were drawn into this type of game plan by the players available. Certainly the wings carried a lot more. There was a lot of inside pops, but Wales got dragged into an arm wrestle they didn't really need to be in. However, the South African defence was so ferocious at the breakdown, they were knocking Welsh players back. Welsh players were having to commit 3 or 4, even 5 to secure the ball, which limits your attacking options. But as soon as they started throwing the ball around a little bit, they created opportunities. So they'll be very frustrated. This was a collection of players who won't be playing again. Unlikely that Jonathan Davies will make the next World Cup. That said, he clearly wasn't fit. He hasn't had a great World Cup other than the acceleration of pace and a handoff against Fiji. Hadley Park strapped together by tape. He was struggling a bit. Clearly losing George North, a big loss. Liam Williams before the game. I can't stand here and say that Wales have given it everything because they've been a little bit unlucky with injuries. The loss of Faletau and Anscombe and Corey Hill before the tournament had even started. Big losses, Navidi going. Navidi would have made a difference on Sunday. He would have got go forward ball, smashing straight up and physical at the contact area when we don't have the ball, which didn't happen. Liam Williams is one of the few world-class players that Wales have. Didn't get an opportunity to shine, and Jonathan Davies, as I said, was off form. Too many players off form. Gareth Davies didn't have a great game. His kicking, if you're going to kick, there are 2 reasons to kick. One is that you kick beyond the defensive line and therefore they have to turn, so you need a long kick. Or the second one is you give your attacking players an opportunity to compete. Wales did neither. The kicking was in between. It was easy to scoop up for South Africans and difficult then for Wales to catch up. However, that said, at 9-6, they were still in the game at half-time, despite not playing particularly well. South Africa did not want to play any rugby whatsoever. They were happy to kick the ball and ask the questions of Wales. Go for it. If you want to attack, you attack. Wales had the opportunity to win the game though. Having scored the try at 16-all, they were in the hunt. South Africa had lost their heads a little bit. Went upfield. Through phase after phase, South African discipline was superb not to give a penalty away or go offside. They were very, very controlled, and the game plan to go for a drop goal was correct. The execution, however, was not good enough, and that's the issue. Patch will end up snatching at an opportunity, which really Wales should have worked a little bit harder, got inside the 22, and then given him the chance in between the 22 and the 10, not outside the 10. How they ended up South Africa winning the game, it's questionable about whether it was actually a penalty with Alwyn Jones. There was a South African prop on an offside position that didn't allow the clear out, but these are the kind of things that don't always get picked up and in your favour. And even the last penalty at the line out, the South African prop is on the floor, Welsh prop falls over him and then brings it down. So is it really the Welsh prop that's brought it down? It's a harsh call again, but ultimately South Africa won through. Wales weren't quite good enough, but I've no doubt that this Welsh team will really hurt by that loss. This, however, was probably the come down to one of the greatest games ever that took place on Saturday. England out of the blocks so quickly. New Zealand not really sure what's going on and unable to get a foothold in the game. They made uncharacteristic mistakes. There were knock-ons. There were loose passes. Offside, penalties given, stupid penalties. I mean, what's Sam Whitelock doing? Pushing Farrell in the face. Okay, Farrell made quite a bit of it, but you can't push someone in the face. It was stupid. So New Zealand lost discipline. As I suppose the expression is, they don't like it up them might not go amiss here. Because New Zealand lacks structure. They couldn't find a way of breaking down England's ferocious defence. There's no question, and I said this on the dressing gown diary before, that if England were to beat New Zealand, they would have to play very, very close to their maximum, but boy did they. There were so many players that were superb on the night. Itoje was unbelievable. Obviously Underhill and Curry, again, amazing at the breakdown. Some massive hits. Mako Vunipola, Billy Vunipola had great games. Sinclair, some lovely little touches offloads. So the score actually flattered New Zealand in the end. England were a bit unlucky with the second try not given. The first try, Sam Whitelock made a lot of the interference. The interference was there, but I think he'd actually gone the wrong way. So he kind of play acted. The decision was the correct one. If Sinclair had offloaded the ball a metre before, it would have been given. New Zealand didn't really create any opportunities though. The only try they scored was from an English line-out, which they will be gutted about, because they effectively closed down the most potent attack in rugby. It's a great achievement. The question is, can England produce this kind of performance again? And ultimately, with the wealth and the number of players available to England, this should be the standard. This is what they should be doing to all teams. But we'll talk about that tomorrow when we go into the preview. Ultimately, it was a game of two halves at the weekend. England was superb. Wales struggled in an arm wrestle. The good news is, though, Freddie Flutter was 100% correct. He called both games with a handicap of 7.5 to England, who obviously won the game, and a handicap of 7.5 to Wales, who lost the game only by 3. But look, the dressing gown diary is over for the semi-final preview. I'll be back tomorrow with the preview of the third and fourth place playoff, the game that no one wants to play, and of course, the big one, the final. Over and out.